but I thought I'll go live during lunch and you can join me for lunchtime. Hello, hello. So if you haven't checked out, which you might not want to check out because this is mainly for Northern Colorado, but there is a Substack. I think they just started it this year. I don't know if it's a girl. I don't know if it's a boy or man or woman. I don't know. It could even be a teen. I don't have any idea. But this person started which it's called NoCo. I'm gonna have to get my charger out. Hold on just a second. But how do you like this? I love my little XOXO bag. My daughter got it for me. It is reviews for Northern Colorado. All kinds of reviews from climbing gyms. And sorry, just putting in my charger. There we go. From climbing gyms to food to activities. And what it looks like right now, from what I can tell, is that it's called NoCo Reviews on Substack. And what I can tell from right now is that it looks like the person is reviewing every Monday and Friday. And this person's funny. And I'm really enjoying their reviews. So they had a review for Johnstown, Colorado. I'm in Johnstown, Colorado today. And they had a review for the chicken strips at Hayes Market. The review is hysterical because they basically slam Hayes Market for being price gouging and being a grocery store that's price gouging. And they also say the only thing you want to go there is for the chicken strips. So I did go to Hayes Market and they said, watch out for the sodas. I did get a Coca-Cola. Yeah, for all the haters, I got Diet Coke. I needed the caffeine today and I just didn't want to do a coffee. And so they said, make sure you take a picture when you go and get a Coke. So I went and looked at the Coke, or they didn't say do that, but they said that's what they did. So anyway, I went and looked at their sodas because I decided to go try Hayes. And sure enough, they're really priced weird. So this soda was $1.99, which is the cheapest. And look at it. It's 1.25 liters, so 42 ounces. And the really small one is $3. And then the one in between it is $2.50. Isn't that weird? It's so weird. So I did take pictures, but it rang up right. This rang up as $1.99. And then I did get the chicken strips. I got 3 of them. And they came to $4.14 for 3. I would probably differ on the review. Maybe they're having a bad day. They also had spicy chicken strips, so I might go try those. But I don't think these are anything that's outstanding. Like, it's not something I'm going to go back to Hayes and probably get unless their spicy ones are amazing. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Bob. Okay. Thank you for your comment. I'll get to it soon. So anyway, what I find ridiculous is that I go into a grocery store, I can buy 4 or 5 items and I can't get out of the grocery store for less than $10 anymore, right? And everybody's experiencing this. And thank you to pedophile Trump and his pedophile supported Republican Party tariffs. I don't know if you caught my post, but I made a post about actually, I might not have posted this yet on Substack, but every now and then I do a post on Facebook, and I did a post, and Facebook is one of those places. Okay, wait, I'll put a pin there. I'll come back to that. So anyway, here's the receipt. I'm going to probably respond to NoCo reviews and tell them, hey, I didn't think the chicken tenders were that great. Because I did get a dessert, though. I love no-bake cookies. They're like my only go-to cookie. And they had fresh no-bake cookies. So I did buy no-bake cookies by Shirley's Peanut Butter no-bake cookies. And they were $4.79, which I think is outrageous. but I still got them because they sounded really good, and I had one, and it was really delicious. So, anyway, that's my lunch story. I'm gonna repost some of their reviews, on my Substack. Be on the lookout on that if you're curious. Um, but the humor that they inject into the reviews is really adorable, and I'm, like, interested in going and trying most of everything they're reviewing. Um, Whoops. So, in other news, um, we I lost my home in a natural wildfire disaster in, December 30th on December 30th of 2021. And the last 4 years has really been fucking hell. Um, if you go and ask natural disaster survivors, they're gonna tell you 4 to 5 years of hell. When I went to so After a natural disaster, the American Red Cross and your community, they set up what's called a disaster center for 1 month. 30 days is all you get, which again is ridiculous. But we had a disaster center that I routinely hung out at like almost 8 hours a day. And for that first month, getting resources, connections, reapplying for birth certificates, death certificates, driver's license. Because when I say we lost everything but the clothes on our back and whatever bag we could grab as we were running out of the house with the backyard completely engulfed in flames. And then we had to drive through. Pretty sure it's about 900 to 1,000 feet of a tunnel of fire. It was like engulfing our car with zero visibility. And, my daughter was crying hysterically because my son was touching the doors. It's not this car. I actually sold that car. It was a Honda Pilot. I loved the Honda Pilot, but it was excellent in all weather, especially snow. And I sold it to a mechanic that could keep it running because the doors were melted. And I hobbled along until I could purchase a new to us car. This is a 2014. In May of 2022. But it was like I couldn't maintain what needed to happen for that car any longer after it melted in the fire. But if you talk to any person that loses their life in a natural disaster, like I did and my children did, they will tell you that it takes 4 to 5 years of pure hell to recover. And at the disaster center, which is what I was getting to by telling you about the disaster center, they had like circle chats, I guess you would call them, set up where you could have um I'm sorry, look at the comments. I'll get to the comments in just a minute. Where you could learn about resources, learn how to recover emotionally, understand that you are now in complex PTSD, even if you think you're not, because right now adrenaline is surging through your body. The American Red Cross did this. It was on the second floor of our disaster center, was just all American Red Cross, and they were lovely. But they are 30 days to the minute, boots on the ground, and then they're gone. And so if you don't take advantage of them when they're there, you lose out. And I got a lot of resources from them. So one of the things they said was that the first year after natural disaster they've compiled all this evidence from other natural disasters, decades of evidence, that first year you just run on pure adrenaline. And that is true. And they say, then you're going to have a crash out period. Yep, that's true. And then pretty much everything's going to tank for a couple of years. Pretty sure. And that's exactly what happened. I tanked. I had a crash out in February of 2023. That first year in 2022, I ran on adrenaline. I thought we were rebuilding. I thought we were getting, we were on track, and we weren't. We were in survival mode. And then I crashed in somewhere between January 1st and Valentine's Day of 2023. I crashed. My adrenals were blown out, couldn't do anymore. And by that summer, everything tanked. My finances tanked. Um, I, I didn't have the funds to restart my social media boutique business. Um, all those clients had vacated. I had 5 contracts. December 30th of 2021, fire happens, destroys my business, all my equipment. And so I had a couple clients that stayed with me through 2022, but the other 3 vacated, and I just didn't have the money to rebuild that. I also didn't have the executive functioning to rebuild it. And I probably have not been able to say that until this year, until 2026, because my executive functioning is truly getting back online slowly. And what I really mean about that too is that running a social media business, I did web design, web development, web maintenance, all social media, all email marketing. And of course I specialized in a couple of the social medias, but I really did all of them. Not Twitter, but that really requires quite a bit of discipline and executive functioning. And that just got all blown out. And that's part of being in complex PTSD. Your executive functioning switches. And so, I struggled. I mean, in 2023, I started taking courses because I'm like, okay, I've got to do something. I want to continue homeschooling my kids. I want to still be available for them. I mean, it was inconceivable to me to completely ditch every part of our life. And it's like that one little piece I was holding on to. And so, because everything else had blown up. And, we had to remove people from our lives that were narcissistic and toxic to us. And we knew that before the fire, but after the fire, it like burnt those rose colored glasses away. And there was no way we could continue having a connection with some of these people. So that was like another layer on the trauma, because saying goodbye, eradicating people from your life, even if they're not good for you, even if they're narcissistic and they're toxic, is still really, really hard. And, I mean, everybody knows that even saying goodbye to a bad relationship that's romantic is really hard. Um, we quickly saw the benefits of getting them out of our lives, but it was still a layer on top of that trauma. And, I knew I needed to, start kicking it in. So I started taking courses to learn how to do digital product marketing, because even though I was a social media expert, and I don't really like that word, but I am, and an email marketing expert, um, I knew that I had gaps in my knowledge. And so I took a whole slew of classes. I ended up settling on one and really using it. And I was able to develop my tapping business because I'm an EFT specialist. Thank God that got us through some of the most major trauma of the last 4 years. Um, and when I say got us through, I mean it kept us functioning, right? We're just kind of starting to take steps forward, because every time I think, oh, we're taking, oh, this chapter's closed, we're moving forward. No, not really. It was a piece of it was closed, but the chapter of the trauma was not closed. So I'm being really deliberate with my words now, saying, yeah, we're actually on the cusp of making some major changes, again, that are very positive for us, that feels like we're really, getting our legs back under us. And I think this is at a higher level because my executive functioning is back. I can see it in my children too. But anyway, so I started the tapping lab in early of 2024. And then I like really got it going as a business, right? I was kind of doing it as a side, but I really got it going as a business. And then I started Be Your Worth, which I started in July of 2024. And that includes my beginnings course, my Canva crash course that teaches you everything I know about Canva. The beginning course teaches you everything how to set up your business from start to finish and how to monetize your skill set. And then I had on there on Be Your Worth, there's also my Faceless Marketing Bundle, which is 7 ebooks that are just loaded with tons of information on how to go faceless. So like this is face forward, how to go faceless in digital marketing when you monetize your skill set, right? And then just, once you monetize your skill set, you start seeing other places to monetize your skill set. You start seeing other avenues to actually, because it starts opening up this creative void, right? So then you start getting really creative. Like I'm getting ready probably in July to launch a couple of more other endeavors because I see the possibility and I have skill set there and I'm really excited about that. Um, but I'm still work in progress right now, right? Um, so right now, when you join my paid site of Substack, what I've decided to do is that I'm going to keep it permanent instead of running specials. That when you join my paid side of Substack, and you have to join the annual, not the monthly, um, you get the beginnings course, you get it for free for life. When you join my monthly paid side of Substack, you can download my Canva crash course. You can down my grief loop EFT scripts that came from several classes and a webinar that I did on how to break the grief loop. And I can tell you, I'm a product of the product because those grief loop strips I've been on repeat with for the last 4 years, and they work. And then you can also get I post EFT videos and then the script that I use as a PDF, so you can download all of that. And I'm getting ready to post. I keep saying this. I'm like in week 3 of like, I'm going to post this. I just haven't gotten it completely finished. 20 recipes that you can start doing in your kitchen without any special equipment that start separating you from this corrupt economy, where you start getting healthier food in your body instead of what's being fed to us by these billionaire monopolies. So you can get all that on my monthly subscription. And I know there's some people that just join for a couple of months and download all that stuff. And then they stop. And that's okay. But to get my beginnings course, you have to join the annual subscription. But the good news that I was going to say is, I guess it's not but, it's and, um, because my business has stabilized. Moving to Northern Colorado has really helped us immensely to emotionally stabilize because Excel kept cutting our electricity because of wind events. Now they're investor owned, Excel is corrupt, and they're saying, oh, this is to protect the community. No, investing in infrastructure is what protects the community. We had a ginormous wind event up here in December, 100-mile-per-hour winds, gust, so they weren't sustained, but they're still that's pretty intense for 3 days. And my power never flickered, and my power was never shut off. And I got text and emails from my electric company up here in Fort Collins saying, we're not like some of the competitors. We invest in infrastructure because we're community owned and your power is stable. I love that. I needed to hear that. 3 times we had to evacuate after the fire because our electricity got cut off. And It's horrendous. It was just one trauma. It was just re-traumatizing, re-traumatizing, re-traumatizing. Um, and there's 4 different let's see, 1, 2 there's 5 different electric companies up here in Northern Colorado, and none of them are investor-owned. They all invest in their infrastructure, and none of them lose power when there's a weather event. And, an electric company that loses power in a weather event is a liability. It's not an electric company. And, I think it's I think it's fucking ridiculous. And, you know, that corridor of the Front Range, Boulder, Louisville, Superior, Lafayette, Erie, Longmont, parts of Longmont, not all of Longmont, Niwot, they're dumb. Uh, Westminster, Broomfield, they chose, Excel, they didn't have to. Okay, let me see if I can get to some of these comments. Stacy, right. Tell me what you're telling me. Yeah, I know. This is a splurge for me. I don't usually do Diet Coke. I usually don't do Coke products. Colorado. I lost my house. I lived in Boulder, Colorado from '07 until the wildfire. It was called the Marshall Wildfire, and I lost everything in that. Thank you, H. Stacy. Thank you. Okay, I caught up on those. Um, so I just wanted to talk too. I haven't talked to you all for a while. It's probably been about 10 days since I went live last. Um, One of the exciting things that is happening for me is that, and I was getting ready to tell you that and I got distracted. So my business is stabilized by moving up to Fort Collins. I mean, we moved up here in July and we moved in with a friend. He's older, elderly, has a big house. And, we always knew it was going to be a temporary situation. Like, we're not staying there for 4 years, for example, right? But it was a situation to stabilize me, to stabilize my business, and to stabilize our neurology because we were all just bleh. And, um, and it's done that, right? And that's why I can tell that I've got some executive functioning coming back online. Not all of it, but some of it. And my business has stabilized, which I'm so grateful for. Many of you have contributed to that, so thank you. And what that has led to is I've been able to get a local Northern Colorado angel investor who's going to invest in my business. And part of that is going to go to remediating some of our needs that I haven't been able to remediate since since the wildfire. There were 1,800 homes that burnt in the wildfire. And some of those things are just like basic need things, like my daughter's ready for braces. We need new glasses. Um, I have an injured tooth that happened because I fell after the fire. So it was like because I was in an area that I normally wasn't in, and I need to have that fixed. I mean, it's fine now, but it just needs to get fixed. But all of this is because of the fire, right? None of the situation wouldn't be the situation if we hadn't lost everything. And I mean everything in the wildfire, including my business, right? And so I'm really excited about that. And this investor has another investor that's going to invest as well. So it's really going to put me in a position where I can, because my business is ready I need to inject some money into it and, and grow it in a up level type of way, which I talk about a little bit in my beginnings course. In my beginnings course, I really teach you how to do what I've done up to this point. And then really to do okay, you're ready to inject money into your business and up level it um, in growth really is a different course, right? And so that's why I called it the beginnings course because you need a foundation and you need the education on that foundation and somebody that's walking you through all the technical stuff and not leaving any gaps. That's the thing I found in all the courses I took where they would leave gaps where then I bought this fucking course and now I have to go out and do more research because you're not giving me all the tea. I don't like that. I never do upsells. And any updates that I do to the course, which I will be doing, um, you're never charged for. So, even I mean, I'm still selling the course outside of Substack, but the reason why for a different price than my annual paid side of Substack. So, purchasing my paid side of Substack, you get my course for free for life. And the reason I'm doing that on Substack is because Substack is where people are making the rubber meet the road. Substack, the people that are coming to Substack, the people that are on here, you guys are the ones that are part of the revolution. You guys are the ones that are making the change. We need to remove our labor from this economy, right? So let's say, now that former Prince Andrew has been arrested today, most of you, I'm sure, all know that. But let's say at the address that pedophile Trump is getting ready to give in a few days, instead he's arrested at this address, State of the Union address, and we have more of a collapse of our government, which is needed. Our government needs to completely collapse so that we can rebuild it and get all the pedophiles out, get all the Democratic centrist out, I mean, the Republican Party is shit. I mean, it has to be leveled and we have to start with something different. I don't have the answer on that one yet, but I just know that has to happen because we can't build on this garbage. And where we really up level our government to be for the people, because the government has not been for the people. I mean, if you don't realize that by now, you've been living under a rock. Um, and we need to form a government that's for the people. And our money stays in our borders, right? I don't think going forward, and I'm definitely in the camp of this, I don't think I think this country is done. It's been a 250-year experiment, and I think it's over. We haven't been united for a long time. And the Southern Republican states have held us emotionally hostage since the beginning of our country. They wouldn't sign the Declaration of Independence unless we kept slavery. And so our whole country has been built on white supremacy and slavery. And that's part of this collapse. I mean, I saw it coming. I just didn't know how it could happen. But I knew that with the Me Too campaign and George Floyd that happened during COVID, that it was the mark of this is going to have to end. We can't continue on with this white supremacy and this racial government. We've got to collapse it. I don't know how this reform happens, and I was hoping it wouldn't collapse, but here we are. It's collapsing. I think we should be cheering because, yes, that's a lot of change. We need to lean into the change and be okay with the collapse because it's going to get better for us in the long run and for our children. But I think what's best for this country is to split. And maybe we split into 4 different countries, right? Maybe it's the East Coast, the West Coast, the Southern grouping, and then Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, maybe they're grouped into another country. Other countries have done this. We can do this. And I think it would be better. And a full blockade on the South. A full fucking blockade. And I know a lot of people say, oh, but we like some of their product. Like right now, I have refused since 2024. I do not purchase anything that comes from a Southern state. And, Canada's blockading red states. Mexico's blockading some red states, not all. And yeah, I want to be part of the blue bloc. I want part of it to be we blockade the red states because they all need to just be together and let them do what they want to do. I don't care. I just don't want to be shackled to them. They have been a noose around our neck for way too long. And Yeah, Heidi, I agree. Lincoln screwed the pooch when he forgave the Confederacy. That was a defining moment, right? That could have really changed where we are today. Um, but I agree with that. I've thought about that many, many times. Um, but what that opens up, yes, we are gonna have a hole, right, of things that we purchase from the South. We can be fine with that. But here's the thing, we can make our own trade agreements with other countries that fill that hole and get products cheaper. And, we're never going to have another land war, right? That's over. And so I hear people say, well, okay, but then what about the military? That's going to leave us open and, potentially, for takeover. And I'm like, "No, I don't think so at all." I think the military needs to be disbanded anyway. Look how they've performed for the last 2 years. It's been bullshit. It's been fucking bullshit. And on top of that, they've been complicit following pedophile Trump's orders, and they've committed crimes, international war crimes. No, I do not support the military. I support our veterans. That's a different story, but I do not support the military, and I do not want the military to continue. We need to have our National Guard be beefed up, and that will be our military presence, but as far as the US military, I think it's over, and I want it to be over. And then we make our own trade agreements. That's already starting, right? Gavin Newsom joined who, right? We have weak ass Democratic, which are Republican lights, representatives that I voted for, which makes me so fucking mad. Um, Here in Colorado, Governor Polis sucks. He is terrible. He's basically a Republican undercover as a Democrat. And then we've got Hickenlooper and Bennett, who are the worst two Democratic senators who have crossed the line and actually supported this trash fascist regime. They voted them in. There are two senators that have voted most of all Democrats to vote in this fascist regime last January and February. Yeah. No. I've called Hickenlooper's office several times and I said, I just want a yes or no. Is he a pedophile? They will not give me a straight answer. They wrap it around in their political speak. And I said, nope, I just want a yes or no. And they won't say it. Okay, Hickenlooper, what's your connection to Epstein? Um, Yeah, they're just terrible. And although I like Joe Nagise, who's um, my House representative, they've all taken AIPAC money. Sorry, Joe, you disappoint me. But he's taken AIPAC money. And I think we need to clear Israel out of our government. It's infested. It's a cancer. Israel is a cancer. And Israel has infected all three branches of our government. And I think there's just one representative that doesn't take AIPAC because all of them do, which I've really been disappointed to find out. The only one that I know that does not take AIPAC funding is Mark Kelly. He's the only guy that I know that I've seen evidence that he doesn't take AIPAC money. If you guys know of any other ones, let me know. I didn't think Ro Khan did, but I think he has. So Ro Khan could be the second one, but I know Mark Kelly for sure, maybe Ro Khan, but the rest all in the pockets of Israel. Oh, yeah, he was a part of the Traitor Eight. Yeah, the Traitor Eight, along with Schumer. I know Schumer's not running again, but I think we need to let him live in infamy. So, however this breaks apart, we have a ruling that's called the Chuck Schumer law because his name needs to be associated with awful things so people don't forget. Nancy Pelosi, her name needs to be associated with insider trading. She has become a billionaire by being a career politician. And that has to stop. We have to get out. We have to get out billionaire money. And, I knew what you meant, Heidi. I did. Um, I see you said traits, but I read it as traitor. Um, yeah, we have a lot of work to do. So, that's why I'm saying that even if he got arrested at the, talk that he's doing in a couple of days, the State of the Union address. Let's say Congress got a spine and said, "Yeah, we're taking out this pedophile." And they come in and they take him out, arrest him, and it's like this big show. I would actually love that. I would love him going, screaming and kicking and crying and shitting his pants. I think he's got a colostomy bag now. Um, I would love to see that. And because the crimes he has done against these children are horrific. Horrific. Just him alone. All of them, but him alone. Um, and the government collapses. Now we have to rebuild, right? And rebuilding is going to take us blood, sweat, and tears. And part of that rebuilding is corporations are going to fail. I mean, the job market already sucks. It's going to go down more. And here's where you protect yourself. You've got to build an income stream that you own, that nobody can take away from you, and you have an international audience. It is more important now than ever that you have an international audience because the international community is supporting us. I mean, my biggest set of clients come internationally. So I make most of my sales when I'm sleeping for my course because they're international. And international people are international, right? Countries and people. They're the ones that are going to join with us after this fascist regime falls. And they're the ones that if you're hooked in with the international community, because when you are selling something online, which in my course, you learn how to monetize your skill set more. So let's say you know how to make butter. Okay. I'm just giving this as an example. And so I teach you how to develop your own course and put it on, school. I think school is one of the best platforms. People internationally buy that. People are going grassroots everywhere. People want to grow victory gardens. People want to learn how to process their own food, including making your own butter, um, making your own sour cream and yogurt, and grinding your own wheat, which is not hard. If you get wheat, that's the kernel, you get a grinder, they're cheaper than ever before in history. They are so cheap and they're now counter ready. And you have fresh flour and you can grind anything, almonds. You can make all of your own flour, however you want to make your flour. Um, and it's healthy and it has the minerals and it doesn't have all the bromide and all the other bullshit that these corrupt corporations, there's only a group of them. I think there's, what is it, like 8 now that own all products and all grocery stores. School. Okay, so I'm going to answer a couple questions. Yes, Victoria, they will. They will. I'm here to tell you. They will. They will purchase that. People want to learn how to do this stuff. You know how to do it. Learn how to build your online business and how to monetize your skill set and how to market it and how to do email marketing and then do it, right? School. What is school, Heidi? It's actually SKOOL and it's a platform for people who are selling their uh a course on doing something. So I'll give you a good example, real world. I try to give real world examples of what am I doing. I'm telling you guys this, but am I actually living it? So I'm trying to tell you the places that I am, right? Oh, Victoria. Um, right now I cannot think of the names of them off the top of my head because I'm not in a place to buy one yet, but I am going to be in a place to buy one this year and I'm excited. Um, I have been putting together a post that lists, like, everything I have been doing, everything I want to do. I do have a list of where to buy these grinders, I just don't have it memorized, so I will get to that and post it. Drop me a DM here on Substack and remind me, "Hey, get that grinder list," and I'll do it. Um, yeah, and Vitamix does too, right? I loved my Vitamixer, of course, it burnt in the fire. The only thing I don't wanna do is plastics, right? So, like, because of the fire, I've introduced things into my life and my children's life that we had eradicated, and plastic was one of them. And, thank you, Victoria. And, uh, plastics the thing I don't like about the Vitamixer is that mine was plastic. And so what I like about these grinders is that there's no plastic parts. I'm, in the next couple of months, replacing all I love coffee. I'm a bit of a coffee connoisseur. I've told you I'm an a serial entrepreneurial. My very first entrepreneurial venture was that I was part owner in a coffee house that in the 90s that also people would get their email and, because, we were one of the first people to have a T1 line, and, I knew how to network, I've got a CIS degree, so this was an old house that we had renovated Martha Stewart-like, keep in mind 90s, right? Um, and so the upstairs I had, hardwired, created a WAN, which is a wide area network, and, it was a gaming platform. Castle Wolfenstein was the main game, but, kids would come in we'd stay open till 3 o'clock and in the morning, because kids on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and kids would come in, and that gaming platform was always full. And we had a system of how to rotate and all that, but, um, you know, that was my first entrepreneurial experience. And so we had a espresso bar and I ran the espresso bar as well. And so I got really good at pulling an espresso. I'm very much, excuse me. I'm not sick. It's just from talking. I'm very much a bean girl. I don't do ground. I get my beans fresh. Well, I used to get my beans fresh. Then COVID, I started buying packaged beans from a roaster. And since the fire, I bought store shelf beans, which definitely lack because the oils um, aren't fresh. Um, most of the beans on store shelves are rancid, unfortunately. And so that's where you get that kind of moldy taste when you grind your beans. So anyway, I'm excited that sometime this year I'm transitioning back to a local roaster and those beans will not be rancid. And, anyway, I'm moving to a all steel glass coffee maker. Right now I do have a glass, um, pour over and because I just kinda, like, rotate through how I like to do coffee. I do like drip coffee in the old fashioned like 1970 type drip coffee with fresh beans. I also have oh, I just lost the name of it, but it's a glass container with a plunger. All of a sudden, I just blanked on this name. Um, but I do have that. I also I have bought a mocha pot. So that's an Italian espresso maker on the stove, and that's not plastic. But I'm getting ready to get in the next few months a non plastic espresso maker and also a non plastic drip coffee maker. Yeah, and I've looked, when the pre-fire, I looked for replacements that were glass for the Vitamix, and I couldn't find any. Mine was plastic. Okay, so, Victoria, some castle, I'm not sure. From drinking soda, yeah. Plastic. This is a splurge. Probably the last Diet Coke I've had, which I do really like. I know it's not good for you. I know it's got aspartame in it. That's why I limit it severely. The last one that I had in a plastic bottle, was the first week of January. So, probably like every 6 to 8 weeks, I splurge and I have a Diet Coke in a plastic bottle. French press, thank you. I don't know why that I totally brain farted on that. Um, yeah, mine was a plastic container, right? The blades were stainless steel, but the container was plastic on mine. Now, I bought mine at Costco, um, when they were doing one of those demos that they do at Costco, and all the attachments and stuff for a really great price, but it was like 2009, maybe even 2008. Actually, it could have even been in 2007, but it was when we moved right after we moved here, so somewhere between '07 and '09 is when I bought it. Yeah, I do like a French press for making tea as well. Yeah, Victoria is a Diet Coke is definitely a splurge. If I so, I was running on adrenaline in 2022. There's only so much coffee I can tolerate, and then I feel sick, right? So, usually, like, I can do 4 espressos, or a 3-shot, 4-shot latte, and I'm kinda topped out. And so I usually don't go past that. So I would then have a Diet Coke because because I was running on adrenaline, I was crashing frequently in the afternoons. And plus, because of the stress, right, I was having a lot of cortisol dumped into my body. And so I would probably even venture to say I was teetering on what they call cortisol poisoning. It was pretty extreme. So I was drinking Diet Cokes almost on the daily, and at one point, I was starting getting these migraines. I don't get migraines, and I was like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Oh, it's the aspartame." Immediately cut it out. Headaches went away. Haven't had any migraines since. So I'm very careful of my splurges. I don't buy Diet Coke and keep it around at all. I don't keep around any sodas. So when the kids and I buy a soda, it's definitely a splurge. Yeah. I would probably say I'm a menace to society too with over 4 shots of espresso because I get really hyped up. And, 4 espresso 4 shots really do me well. But I don't like to have them past a certain time, like, I like coffee houses staying open late, right? And that's what I love about Northern Colorado. They keep coffee houses open late. Down in the Boulder area, everything closes by 8 o'clock. It's crazy. Boulder, Louisville, Lafayette, Superior, Erie, Broomfield, Westminster, Niawat, 8 o'clock. Sayonara. Um, But Northern Colorado has a vibrant music scene. They have check out NoCo reviews, by the way. I was telling you about the review. Their reviews are pretty good. They're funny. Whoever's writing them's funny. It looks like it just started this year. I just found it a couple of days ago. It's a Substack. NoCo reviews. It might be NoCo review or reviews. I don't know if there's an S on the end of that. Um, yeah, I really like the music scene up here in Northern Colorado. People are just more relaxed, and so places stay open late, and so a lot of coffee houses stay open late, and what I like about that is not to go in and get an espresso, but to go in and that's when I usually get a tea. I might get something to eat, but I like to sit and read in coffee houses, and most of them around here stay open at least till 9 or 10 o'clock. There are some that stay open till 11, and I just think that's awesome because that's what I'm used to, right? And, I wasn't really going to coffee houses before, of course not during COVID, but before the fire because I had littles and I was a single mom and, I'm still a single mom, but, it really didn't I probably hadn't gone to coffee houses late night, you know, probably like a good, 20 years. So, it was from 2007 till 2021 for sure. Um, that's what I would say. Maybe that's not quite 20 years. Um, so some of the things that I wanna talk about too, while we're on here is, we've got to remove our labor. We've talked about that already. And I talked about ways on how to do that. I don't know if I fully answered what Skool was. Again, it's Skool, and it's a platform for you to teach people what you know. And I was going to give you my real world example. So my real world example is that when I moved up to Fort Collins, I decided I wanted to go back into knitting. I loved knitting. I had been doing it for a while. Of course, I lost all that in the fire. And so I thought, I want to get back into that. And so I got onto Skool, and there was a mother of five who lived in Great Britain, and she was selling a course teaching you how to basically knit, right? Basics, not basically knit, but to knit the basics. And I was like, yeah, that's what I needed to start with. And um and then she had like once you got that down, she had another course that you could buy and then another course. And then she's got courses she's expanded since and she's got courses on, oh, do you want to do a scowl? Okay, this course is just to teach you how to do scowls. I always found socks really hard, and so she has a whole course on just teaching how to do socks. And I really appreciate this, you know? And this is her full-time income. I love that. I love supporting women. I love supporting single moms. And I love supporting independent businesses that are online. And so, she's got a forever client because as I keep getting better and better, I'll keep buying from her. But that's an example where she monetized her skill set, right? And that's what I'm talking about. Like, you know how to make butter, right? Like, you could start off with simple, like, uh, you know, put the milk or put the heavy cream and just shake it in a jar, right? Like start off with something simple. And then, second course is okay, let's be more complex about this. Or how do you make French butter? Or how do you infuse it with herbs? I mean, like you could do different courses or different segments in that same course, different lessons. Um, And then maybe you riff off of that. Okay, now that you're making your own butter, and you're freezing it, now what can you make with it that it keeps your power? Because the kitchen is the first line of resistance, right? When we are controlling our food and our income and our money going out, because really the kitchen, right? If you're controlling your food, you're controlling your money going out and what you're purchasing. You are deciding the fate of the economy. And it's just, it really is that simple. Don't believe me? Go study Econ 101. Right? I had tons of people come after me 2 years ago, even last year, that tariffs were not bad. And I'm like, you don't understand how money works. You don't understand how compound interest works. And you don't know how Econ 101 works because tariffs are always, horrible for the citizen, and it always tears down the middle class. And we're seeing that in real time. Um, but then you could teach people how to use that butter, right? I mean, there's so many different ways to go about it. Now, I think because most people are at this beginning, right? Of like, there's just so much and there's only so much you can take in. Eventually, what I would like to do here on Substack is either have live trainings where people can ask questions and like, okay, this is what I'm doing. What do I do? Maybe you send them to me in a DM first, or maybe we just have a private chat that I can lock down to only people that are the annual paid subscribers, and we talk about and brainstorm like, where do you go next? Or, hey, can you go look at my stuff? I would really like to expand into that. I've tried it a couple of times this last year, but because I have enough people that have bought courses here on Substack, my course, that we could do that. But I think people are so overwhelmed at this point and just starting out because it is a process. You have to get the education first. That I just think that's overwhelming to then like also join a chat or a live that's locked down only for my paid subscribers that are annually. Um, but I'm just wanting you to know I'm here for that, right? I'm hoping to grow that in the future. And there's no fee for that. I mean, that's just part of here, let's join this. Who wants to? Who needs this? I don't want to do it if it's just me, myself, and I, right? It's like, because I don't need it for me, but I'm here to help, right? And I help you brainstorm and what's the next thing to come up with. But don't write off your skill set as, well, other people are doing this too. Well, yeah, other people are teaching knitting, but they're not teaching knitting like this lady in Great Britain. It's coming through her eyes, her perspective, and it resonates with me, right? Other people's knitting is resonating with other people. And so what you have to offer will resonate with people that will build you an income stream that you own, you control, right? So let's take that to the next step, right? Now, when you control your income, you control your calendar, right? So let me dispel any myth right now. When you start in online income, you are never going to work 2 hours a week and make $10,000 a month. I believe the fascist regime, the billionaire pedophiles, paid content creators to propagate that lie on TikTok. Because I've seen that lie everywhere. I've also seen the lie of, oh yeah, just get into Canva, make a PDF, and you'll make $10,000 a month. Well, wait a minute. There is a whole world in between making a PDF and getting $10,000 a month. And I think that was propaganda so people would go try it and fail because both of those are recipes for failure. It's not the way it works. So, what you need to know going in building your income stream is that it is a business and you have to put time into it. I don't advocate you quit your job. Um, or let's say you got fired. So, what I did, right? I didn't have a job. I lost my business. So, in essence, I got fired. What did I do to pay the bills? Summer of 2023, when I told you I was researching all the courses and I was taking course after course after course to fill in knowledge gaps. I got 2 work from home jobs that all they did was cover the bills. They weren't career jobs. They weren't jobs that I cared about. They were only to pay the bills. And one of them was I not chat operator. I forget the word that they used. They had a word for it, but I was a moderator for a chat for a insurance company. And then I was a call center rep for Williams Sonoma. Both of those I did from home. Both of those I could work around my kids' schedules still, and they paid the bills. Nothing extra, but they paid the bills. And they allowed me to have time to build out my own online stream of income. Now, I started my tapping business. It's called the Tapping Lab in end of January of 2024, but it didn't actually start making money that I could rely on significantly until like July of 2024. So I quit one of the jobs and I quit the Williams Sonoma call center job because I was making the less there. And so now I still had my chat monitor job for the insurance company, and I had my tapping lab, and then I'm building out Be Your Worth, which is where my courses live. And I continued working basically all 3 of those jobs, my 2 income streams, and this chat monitor job until, um, February of last year. So February of last year, I was at that point where I could quit the moderator job for the chat and then just rely on my 2 income streams. Now, my 2 income streams just replaced those 2 online jobs. Do you see how this is working? And this pretty much is a typical experience. And they've grown since, especially moving up to Northern Colorado and getting neurologically more stable, and more executive functioning online for myself. Um, it's it's gone up, right? And so now my 2 businesses are making more than what my 2 online jobs. Now, how did I find those online jobs? YouTube. There are creators, and I'm so grateful for them, that get on YouTube and they tell you about all the jobs that are available to apply to. And that's just what I did. I applied to a lot of jobs before I got it, and then I got those 2 jobs. Um, Williams-Sonoma was a pretty easy one because I got it in the fall of 2023 for the holiday season, and, and then that chat monitor job, like, I had to go through 3 interviews for it, and, but neither one were career jobs, right? So I don't advocate you to get a career job. I advocate you to get something that I advocate you to get something that pays the bills. Winwick Mom, no. That's I can find her, profile and post it, um, but no, it's not called Winwick Mom. I'm pretty sure. I'll double check. Um, how is payment made? You can do PayPal. So, um, are you talking about for my course on StanStore through the class? I teach you how to set up your payment systems. You can use Stripe, you can use PayPal, um, and then you can also set up payments using StanStore. You can also use System.io, and I teach you how to do System.io, and because it's excellent for email marketing and it's free. Stan Store is $29 a month, starting out. Um, School also charges something, but it's really nominal. I think it might be $5 a month, and that's what I recommend you start off with, right? You don't want to ever start off with the big packages. You just start off light. I do a blend of System.io and StanStore. Oh, good, live trainings, you would like that. Yes, Heidi, I'll go and look that up and, post it. She is on School, and she is in Great Britain, so I'll find that and post it. Um, so, like, how to break down courses, for example, like a certain exercise regime. So let's say you're working with women who are postmenopause, and you're helping them to, get back in shape, right? I would probably break it down like I think this is what you're talking about when you say an exercise regimen. Um, I would break it down into the type of exercises and then maybe have a beginning plan, a beginning routine, and then how do you add on to that? And then how do you keep that momentum going, right? Now, the thing that's nice about School is you can download the app, and so people can watch those, right? And so maybe you have, um, because especially you gotta remember who your audience is, right? So let's say it's, again, I'm saying post menopause. So you're talking about 45 and older, um, segment. So let's say after you teach like you have a segment that does arms and a segment that does legs and back maybe. And I don't know what else, different groups of the body. And then you have, okay, here's a beginning level. Here's intermediate. Here's advanced. And then maybe that's like 10 lessons. And so on lesson 11, okay, if you only have 15 minutes, here's the exercises to do. Here's 15 minutes if you have 15 minutes in a gym or if you have 15 minutes at home, right? And maybe it's like for the 15 minutes at home, part of it's walking outside, taking a hike. But like maybe you go through like, okay, and then you're doing certain weights or you're doing certain exercises that you incorporate into your walk, right? So I think you could really segment them there where it speaks to the person's lifestyle. And so you break them down into lifestyle components. You're at home, you're at work. You've only got 15 minutes, you've got 30 minutes, you've got 45 minutes. That adds on to here's a beginner exercise, here's the intermediate, here's the advanced. Now here's specific situations. Um, right. And I think personal training works best when you target age group and lifestyle, right? So every age group has a lifestyle that's a subset, right? So that's why I'm like post menopause would probably be home, work, a gym. And then what would be, and maybe they only have lunch hour to work out if they're still working, they're working. Um, and then, like, then you would have to segment the ages and then their lifestyle. Like my son's 21, right? And he's a lifeguard. So what would really his people really like to do, that generation really like to do specific training. So they every Saturday they go climbing at a climbing gym. Well, you have to do other exercises to climb, right? And so that is where your course would come into. Like, okay, so the under 25, under 30 set age group. Okay, are you a climber? Here's all the exercises you need to be doing. And then I would like break that into, do you have 15 minutes here? 20 here, 30, 40, 45, or maybe like 30 and 45. But specifically for the climbing club, climbing set. Now, here in Colorado, that subset age group, 30 and under, heavy snowboarders, that also requires exercise and training, you know? And so there's another subset that you could reach out to and I mean you could market to teaching how to train for snowboarding, uh for climbing. There's a lot of excuse me. There's a lot of under 30 people that also are really huge hikers and Colorado, for example. That would be another subset. And then, like, from 30 to 45, you could hit the skiers there, but they would have, they have children, right? And they have a job, and they're either at home or with their kids or at work. How do they get to a gym, right? So that would be a whole different way of teaching them how to incorporate training. This is how I would do it, right? If I was a trainer. And then the 30 to 45 set, they're also heavy skiers here in Colorado, mainly downhill, but really heavy skiers. And they need a different type of training because they're older. And so you could do that kind of training for them that would be in accordance with their lifestyle, how to get it into their lifestyle. They're at a soccer game. What exercises could they be doing at a soccer game? Could they be stretching? I know skiers typically don't stretch, and they need to. I'm a downhill skier, lost all my equipment in the Marshall Fire, so eventually I'll be back to that, but, um, that's one of the things I wouldn't do is stretch. Yeah, and a really good way to do that is to get into ChatGPT. I know the water issue, okay? AI is here to stay, right? New technology is always here to stay. It's not gonna go away. We just need to find a way to use it ethically and to preserve our Earth, our planet. I think this whole water industry issue too. I'm not saying don't come after me because I'm not saying it's made up. But what I am saying is that these data centers, I don't believe are just for AI. I think once we get the billionaire Epstein class locked up, we'll start seeing what is really going on here. And I also don't think AI is taking, I think AI is getting blamed for all of it. And I don't think it's all AI. I also believe AI is here to stay. So, how do we figure this out? Right. And it's not invading Greenland for sure. So, I know we're going to figure this out. But one way that you can do this is get on Claude or Chat GPT, and you can ask it to divide up the age groups and then divide up um, the lifestyle of each of those age groups. And just take that piece of information and then plug and play everything we were talking about. And then you could have several different courses in school. I mean, right there, that sounded like about 6 different courses that you would have in school that you could market to genre specific people. And then you also have to do email marketing, Victoria, because email marketing is a huge piece of it. System.io is great for email marketing. All right, so we've been on here for a while. I really appreciate you all showing up. I typically don't come on here for lunchtime. It's usually in the early morning or in the late evening. But I'm really glad I jumped on here. I love this. We need to keep building this community. We need to keep building connections. Um, and I hope to see you on more lives. I'm going to do my damnedest to get online tomorrow morning. I have to bring my son to work at 7:30 in the morning, so I was thinking, "Oh, yeah, I could bring my coffee, and we can sit in the car, or we can do another live." All right. Thank you all for joining me, and have a lovely day. Mwah.